Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about a question that comes up often about parents of kids who want to migrate back to India. NRI kids, OCI kids. And there are a few questions that come up. One key question is regarding the kind of schooling and the fees, and whether you need to pay additional NRI fees for kids studying in Indian schools. So first and foremost, let me start by sharing my experience. About 5, 6 years ago, we moved back to India with at that time he was 6 years old. My son had just completed first grade and was ready to go to the second grade. And the timing of our move was almost perfect. We moved in May at the end of the school year there in Greensboro, North Carolina. And just about the time when the schools were ready to start here in Bangalore, the school year starts in June, right? So we moved back and started looking around. Now the question that comes up is, what kind of a schooling do you want for your kids? Because in India there's a huge range, a wide array of schools to choose from, starting from the bottom of the pyramid where you have government schools. Not everyone is eligible or will want to send their kids to government schools. Uh, and even in government school, there are variations like the Kendriya Vidyalaya or the central schools. And those are meant primarily for Indians and for people who are working in government jobs or central government jobs that are transferable. So those options are out. And then comes the private schools or aided schools. And there are a huge array of schools, starting from schools in local neighborhoods, some very established old schools and some newer schools. And the other category are the branded schools, schools like the NPS, schools like DPS, that have spread branches all over the country, almost like a franchise model of schools, private schools. And the third category is the Jesuits or the convent schools. The convents were established way back when the British were ruling India, and they had the Jesuits or the convents establishing these convent schools, running with the English medium. And then the fourth category of schools is the Montessori or the open system of schools. And then last but not least are the international schools. Many large metro cities have multiple choices of even international schools. So when it comes to schools, you have a wide array of choices. And within these choices, another twist is the syllabus, the curriculum. There are 3 or 4 main curriculums that the schools follow. One is the state board. Depending on the state you are in, it follows the state board. And then comes the CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education. The third is the ICGE or ICSC, which is again a central body that governs schools. And the fourth is the Montessori system, based on the international Montessori system. And last but not least is the IB curriculum, followed international matriculate, followed by some of the international schools. So depending on your choice and preference, you decide on the kind of school that you want to choose. And the kind of school will also dictate the kind of fees that you pay, the kind of facilities that you have. So you need to weigh all these factors and decide. For us, when we moved back, my criteria was very straightforward and simple. My son was new to the community, to the neighborhood. So I wanted him to immerse in the local culture, local language. So I wanted a school that would be either CBSE or ICSE within our neighborhood. Now, when I said neighborhood, within the 4 to 5 kilometer radius. And the reason I decided on that is the commute factor. Because when it comes to commute, 4 to 5 kilometers is about half an hour to 40 minutes by school bus. Anywhere from 5 to 10 kilometers or even more is a commute of more than 1.5 hours, even on a good day. And that just doesn't cut it, right? Especially for young kids. Sitting in a school bus 1.5 hours each way every day is going to eat up their time, energy, and enthusiasm. So I decided not to do that. And many of the international schools are in the outskirts of Bangalore or in certain areas that are pretty far flung. So sending our son to such a school wouldn't have made sense. It wasn't a practical decision. So we chose a school in our neighborhood within about 4 kilometers of our home that really worked out. It was an old established school in the Malleshwaram neighborhood. And our son took to the school like duck to water. The school was an ICSE syllabus, so he learned 3 languages besides English. He had to take Hindi as a second language, Kannada as a third language, and Sanskrit as the optional language. So in a sense, he kind of imbibed these languages and cultures. In a couple of years, he really did well. And the school provided the background nurturing, and the teachers really took to him. And after the first year, the second, third year, he really started shining. I'm really glad and proud to say, with that nurturing, he was the best all-round student for 2 years in a row.
He has been an all-rounder for the academic year 2019-2020. He was also the all-rounder last year, that is 2018-2019. He really deserves a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's a pretty decent achievement. So when it comes to schooling, you have your choices. Now, the last but not least question that comes up is regarding the fees, the dollars and cents. It all comes down to investment in education, the money that you want to spend. There are 4 or 5 categories of spending when it comes to fees. One is when you first admit your child in a school, even midway through or during mid-session, anytime you admit, there's an admission fees that includes donation or what they call a capitation fee. And that's a one-time fee dictated by the school. And then comes the annual fees that can range all over the place. The third is your transportation fee. School might provide transportation, and for that you have a separate fees. And then comes the incidentals, which can also vary based on the facilities that you have, the amenities the schools provide. So when you come back, you walk around, pound the pavement, meet the principals, meet the school administration, get a feel for the school, and then choose, because you have a choice. You have wide choices. Now, one key pro tip is don't go about flaunting your NRI status, because that simply doesn't cut it. They might up your fees or your donation requirements. Downplay that. And likewise, from a documentation standpoint, there's absolutely no difference between an OCI child or an NRI child and a local child. Because after moving back, you will make sure you get an Aadhaar card for your child. And that is all the documentation you need besides your previous school living transcripts and certificates in order to get an admission. And once you get admission, you are part of the system. Make sure you nurture your child, go with your eyes wide open, evaluate the choices, choose wisely.